Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The show is about to begin.
Welcome to the podcast, concerts that made us, interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down. The greatest live shows and the cheering crowd sound. It's concerts that made us, concertsthatmadeus.com.
Hey, this is Jack from Mary's Redemption. I'm going to be talking bollocks for the next hour on the concerts that made us.
Bury secrets in my skin. I'll take their weight, their burden. Release your pain, absorb your sins. You'll be the sword I fall on. Bite my tongue and hold my chest. Resist the urge to confess. You're more than I deserve. I'm hanging on your every word. I'll take their weight, their burden. I'll take your pain, absorb your sins. You'll be the sword of fallen.
Jack, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
Thank you very much. It's an absolute delight to be here.
I'm looking forward to diving into your music now over the next bit. So, first things first, you guys have a gig coming up on the 1st of December. Tell us all the details.
Right. So we are linked in with ALM Promotions and the Nutshell Collective. So Nutshell was this collective that was put together back, I think around the start of the year, by Chris Goggins of Ritual Effect, with the idea of bringing all these kind of bands that wouldn't necessarily kind of be getting exposure in terms of the pub scene and stuff like that, and bringing them all together, giving them an umbrella and a kind of a linking them all in with each other, so that and an opportunity then to play with each other and stuff like that. So there was a Nutshell gig there on last Saturday in Pharmacia in Limerick, and it was a opportunity to kind of see some of the bands play. So I'd seen Vendetta Love play a few times, and Motion Sickness as well, a good few times as well. Luna Sky were on the bill. I'd seen them play before as well, but it was a great opportunity to see to actually see Ritual Effect in action. They're absolutely brilliant band live. And then there was another band, two other bands there. There's Steiner and Pretty Limited, who I'd never heard of Pretty Limited before, and they just blew me away with their kind of energy and stuff like that. So to bring it into the gig coming up, it's that idea still of bringing all these bands together. So in the 1st of December, we're heading down to Fred Zeppelins, and we've the chance to play with Steiner, Even Angels, and Outsound are also on the bill as well. So it should be a good one.
Ah, sounds like a good night. It's a great initiative, kind of setting up that collective, though, isn't it? Because I'd imagine it's very hard to get a band off the road, especially when you're playing originals.
Oh, it is. I mean, I'd never really had any interest. Once I learned how to play the guitar, I never really had too much interest in being in a cover band. Like, I loved all the grunge stuff as Nirvana, Pearl Jam and all that, but I always wanted to write. So from the very first band that I was in, I would have been writing originals. Now, I was in cover bands over the years as well, but I always try to sneak in a few originals into them as well, you know?
Yeah.
But the music scene in Ireland, it doesn't seem to cater for original music. So it's great to have like initiatives like the Nutshell Collective bringing bands together and just giving us a platform and getting a chance to meet with each other and connect with each other. Like, since this has started, the amount of bands that I've kind of discovered in Ireland alone that play and write their own music, like it's unreal. And there's so much talent here that's just, it's not being recognized, or it's not getting the kind of recognition it deserves, so to speak.
Yeah. One thing I noticed is, from the podcast, I have great insights into the American scene, the South Africa scene, the Belgium scene even. But at the start, I didn't have too many insights into the Irish scene. And when I came across the Nutshell group, I was like, holy crap, there's actually like tons of Irish bands. And what was surprising is they're actually all really good,
Yeah, I know. That's the amazing thing about it. They are actually really good. Like, there's not really any filler within that collective. Like, it's amazing how much talent is in it. Like, and the quality of the songs and the quality of the productions that are being put out, it's phenomenal, really. Like, I mean, up until that Nutshell Collective, the only other band that I was kind of really aware of would have been Vendetta Love. They would have been the only band that I was kind of aware of. But since I got in with the collective, like, I just discovered so many other good bands. Like, and it's great to get the opportunity then to play with them then as well. Like, another band in there that I discovered is String Cut Puppets, from Derry. They're absolutely amazing as well. And we just from listening to the music and then popping them an L text, well, lads, you know what? I think your music's great. etc., etc. And now they're like, oh, well, do you want to come up and play a gig with us? We're like, yeah, okay, of course, yeah. It's it's them opportunities wouldn't have been there only for the Nutshell Collective,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And before the group, what was it like trying to get gigs? Was it like knocking on pub doors and being told, "Oh, you're an original. No, we want a cover band."
Pretty much. So I set up the band, let's say in 2020. Me and a friend of mine, two of us were both sitting at home, bored over enough because of COVID. And then restrictions were starting to ease up a bit, so we got to go outside the house for once. So me and her decided to set up the band. But my idea from the start was to try and keep it kind of a radio friendly kind of thing. That was my plan, and her vocal was more of a kind of a country vocal. So it's more kind of going to be like acoustic, a kind of this idea that it wouldn't be much heavier than Coldplay or Snow Patrol, that sort of thing. But it just kind of, when I got into the studio, it just kind of took on a life of its own, and things went different. But in terms of trying to play down here, it wasn't going to happen. So I've been doing myself down here was trying to set up a kind of a music scene, so to speak, now down in Laois, and giving bands from Laois the opportunity, because in Laois alone, there's a phenomenal amount of acts down here. So I set up 2 gigs so far. I'm hoping to set up a 3rd one in June. I'm not getting to set them up as often as I'd like, because like with everything, kind of money tends to be the issue. But we've had 2 great gigs so far. We're lucky enough that we're able to link in with Forest Fest, the organizer of Forest Fest. So the first year we ran a gig, and I was able to source funding from Laois County Council, luckily enough. So I was able to pay all the bands, which was brilliant. I think we had 8 acts from Laois came down and played, 8 bands, all phenomenal talents. And we had Vendetta Love down to headliner for us. And out of that, I think 4 of those acts were given slots at Forest Fest. And then last year we ran a Battle of the Bands, and we had 10 bands down. And I think again 4 of those acts were given slots at Forest Fest. And the prize was an act that was a slot at Forest Fest, but such was the quality that he just couldn't pick. So he ended up giving 4 acts slots. So there's like serious quality down here. It's just the issue in terms of like, we have a venue, we just don't have the funding, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. And like everything.
Yeah, and it's trying to like, most people just want to go out and sing along to songs that they know, which makes it very, very difficult, because you're competing with cover bands all the time, and you can't. It's like where a pub might shell out maybe 500 or 600 euros for a cover band. You tell them, "Oh, well, we're an original act." They don't want to pay it because they see it as a risk. Like,
yeah.
The two shows that we put on, we packed the place out of it both times. So like that in itself is kind of the reward, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I getcha. It's kind of like, you need to build a name, but how can you build a name if you're not given the chance?
That's it, and it's so hard. Like, I mean, from like, we're in Laois, we are playing pretty much everywhere except Laois.
Right.
We even managed to get a gig, and we had played in Offaly there a few weeks ago, or it was last month. We did a good gig in Offaly. There's a pub over there, John Lee's, who takes a chance on original music, and he gives them a Friday night slot every now and again. He gave us a slot, and people came in and they didn't leave.
Always a good thing.
Yeah, it was one more successful gigs. They came in, and we were talking to them afterwards. They were full of compliments, saying, "No, we really liked your stuff, and we're going to start following you now," and stuff like that. But it's almost like it's rare that you would get a gig like that, where you'd have, especially around here, where people who've never heard of you just walk in and go, "Oh, I like this band. They're not playing songs that I know, but I like them, and I'm going to find out more about them."
And what's the goal then? Is the goal kind of like to play a gig in Dublin, or what way is it?
We actually were playing in Fibbers last night.
Ah.
And the goal, I suppose, my mindset when I started this off was I wanted to have my music on the radio. That was my mindset. And I want to play I want to play to crowds. I want to play to crowds and kind of build a name. It's been a lot tougher than I thought it would be.
Right.
We've been very lucky that in the sense that like every song that we put out, Radio Nova has picked it up for us. With the rock show, Tony Ainscough there when he was doing the rock show, he was a great supporter of ours, and now Lara Flynn there on the rock show, it seems to be taking up where Tony left off, and he's given us a platform there on a Friday night, which is brilliant. It's been really, really great. In terms of gigs, we just want to play and we just want to get our name out there. I can't say like, I suppose everyone kind of wants world domination. You know what I mean? You always have to set your sights like as high as you can. And if you fall short, well then, it wouldn't be too bad. But I like the idea of being able to go to a venue and have people come to see you. That's what I'd like. I'm not saying that there needs to be thousands of people there, but you'd like if you had some sort of a following that, people showed up when you were playing, people knew about you, people wanted to listen to your music. That would be nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think the whole world domination thing though is off the table these days? Like, is there any bands that actually do make it to that level where they can, earn a good living off their music? Because I speak to, from bands just after starting to bands that are established like 30 years, and they all say the same thing. These days, it is incredibly hard to have music as your main career.
Yeah, I see that as well. Because I grew up like listening to bands like Therapy. I was a massive Therapy fan growing up. And what I loved about Therapy was the fact that they were Irish. They were just up the road. This is a band from just up the road, and they're playing sellout like concerts and festivals all over the world. Their songs are on MTV, like do you know what I mean? They're such a big band and they're just from up the road. And then you look at them now and they're struggling to fill Dolans. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy, but like their quality of their music hasn't dropped off. They're still a really, really good band. It's just, I don't know, is it just the world's kind of gone towards pop music? Or
yeah, that's what I feel anyway.
Yeah, it's hard because like I said, like even if you look within the collective, like I fail to see what's the difference between some of the bands in the collective and yet some of the bigger rock bands that everyone knows about. Do you know what I mean? In terms of quality, in terms of song production, in terms of songwriting, I don't see the difference. Like, do you know what I mean? Is it luck? What is the difference like?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's like 20% right place, right time, 20% luck, and the rest is who you know. You need to have someone behind you pushing you.
Yeah, that's it. It's almost like you have to like spend money to try and make money, but like who can afford to do that in this day and age? Like,
yeah, exactly. And is it still a thing? Like I remember years ago when you start a band in Ireland, it was like, right, as soon as we get some traction, we have to leave Ireland and head to like London or Los Angeles. Is it still like that?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you, but I would imagine that if you were in Britain right now, you'd have more opportunity in terms of venues and gigs than you do here. It's almost like we're not set up for it. We don't cater for it. Like I don't understand. Like people will shell out, like say, Green Day are coming, €107 a ticket. People have no hassle shelling that out, but like you ask them to pay a fiver to come down 5 minutes walk down the road to see a local band, they're like, oh no, man, fuck that. It's
yeah.
like, but like, how are you going to discover these bands if you don't
take the chance?
Yeah, if you don't listen.
Yeah. And when it comes to Aries Redemption, then how do you guys approach making music? Where do you get your inspiration from? What does the whole process look like?
Oh, I would say I'm just a fucking morbidly depressed fucker. That's where it comes from.
Like all great rock stars.
Yeah. I started writing songs. Well, I think it was back. Well, I've written songs since as a kid. Like, was that like the only thing I ever wanted to do since I was a kid was write songs and play music, and it's kind of bet out you, so to speak. It's like, no, you have to have a backup plan. You can't do that. You can't do this. it's not a realistic career opportunity. But that's all I wanted to do was write songs. I think I joined a band years ago with a mate of mine, my cousin, and I was drumming in it because I just wanted to play in a band. I'd been on the guitar for years. Wasn't probably a good enough guitarist to compete with some of the young lads that were coming up and get myself into a good covers band, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So I decided to take up the drums and took up the drums, and we were a cover band. And we had a few original songs in that band as well. But I was writing the odd song, but because you're the drummer, no one wants to learn the drummer songs. Do you know what I mean? I was like, oh,
Right.
you have to play this on guitar, and it was just too much fucking hassle. So the band kind of petered out a bit, and I left, and I'd been in the band 5 years drumming, and I started picking up the guitar again. I think it was around 2016 or something, and I just started writing songs, and then I didn't fucking stop. So I think it was around 2016. I think it was around 2016. I was probably depressed out of my fucking mind, but I didn't actually realize it at the time. And I was just writing songs every week. And I think when I kind of snapped out of that, it was around 2017 or that. I was like, you know what, I'm going to put a band together. Because I had about 30 odd songs at that stage. So went down, said it to Al. So me and Al started playing together. And then there was a woman from town then that I was after getting friendly with through coaching. So she came in and played the bass. So we set up a band. And we got a few original songs off, and we were going out and we were trying to play them, and that was grand. Then she couldn't commit. My cousin came in, and we got about 12 songs off, and we were going around doing anything that we could kind of get. So it was used to be a Heyday festival on at Christmas in Portage, so we used to go and we'd get a half-hour slot at that, or we'd go down to open mic nights and stuff like that, and we'd play there. We weren't really getting too many gigs. We were getting a couple, but I felt the songs were good, but the problem I felt was me on the vocals. I didn't think I was a good enough singer. I thought I wasn't doing the songs justice because I couldn't sing them. So what happened was, it came around Christmas and my cousin got too busy and he couldn't commit to it anymore. So kind of like, that just kind of, it didn't fall apart. It was just like, we all just kind of left it at that, if you know what I mean. There wasn't massive amount, we weren't getting massive gigs and stuff like that. And I started working in a hospital. There was a girl that I was working in the hospital with, and she sang. She used to go back to her house there once a week and we practice. And I was like, yeah, female singer, this really suits my songs. It really kind of, it brings them to life in terms of the emotion that I wanted from the songs, and you know that, and not only the emotion, the harmony and the melody as well. Like, I mean, I can probably put emotion into the songs, but Jesus Christ, it sounds fucking rough as fuck. Like,
Right.
So that was work. So for about a month or so, me and her practiced, and then we done an open mic, and then she headed off to India. But that was kind of, for me, that was kind of like, oh yeah, this is what I want to do now. Direction I want to go. I'm going to put a band together. I'm going to get a female singer, preferably one who can play the guitar or play the piano as well. And I'll go from there, because I figured the songs were good that I was writing. I was writing good songs, and I wasn't stopping writing. I just kept writing and writing and writing. So I knew at this stage, like, out of all the songs I'd written, I could pull 20 of those songs together handy, and they'd be 20 good songs, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get you.
And it was just a matter of that. So then the opportunity came around, I suppose, to try and form a band. That's what I did. But in terms of, I've gone off on the fucking tangent. But, the writing process is, I sit in my room and I get an idea in my head and I write it down. I used to record demos on a Mac. That's what I used to do. So I'd write a guitar riff or a guitar thing, and then I'd put the whole song over it and make a whole demo. So I'd put the drums over it, put the bass over it. I'd start adding in strings, piano, things like that. And it would just become a kind of whole song. And then when I have the song in my head, I bring it down to the band, and it's like, all right, well, this is how the song is going. And then there's a lot of songs that have kind of been floating around since 2016, 2017 And the song that our next single that we're going to release is called Black Spider. I wrote it back in 2017 on the acoustic guitar. And then I got a piano a few years ago. And when I got a piano, I started trying to turn the songs that are from the guitar onto a piano.
Mm.
And Black Spider became, I tried to mimic what I was doing on the guitar, on the piano, but it sounded so much better on the piano. So it became a piano song. And the whole acoustic version kind of went out the window. And then when I brought it to practice, I brought it down to lads, this is how it's going to go. So we played it a few times, and Pravin came back to next practice, and he's like, it needs something. And I'm very protective over my songs.
Right.
I was like, how dare you? But he said, no, it needs something. It needs a bridge or something. And I said, no, it doesn't need that. So he came up with this funky little bass line, this really kind of cool kind of, it's almost like a jazz bass line or something. It's really, really, and I was kind of like, how are you going to fit that into the song?
Right.
I was like, no, and he was adamant that this was going into the song. And I was like, how, where, why? So he brought it in and he was insistent. And he said, no, we're going to put it in before the second chorus. And I was like, no, that makes zero sense. He's like, no, we're going to do it, right? So we done it. And I still wasn't really going for it. I was kind of like, oh, well, maybe we'll have it after a second chorus. But, he said, no, after the second verse is going in. So he done that. We tried to practice. I brought home, listened to the practice, and then sat down on the piano again. And now I came up with a piano riff. I'm like, all right, yeah, maybe it does work. And then when we went to record it in the studio, Chloe came in and Chloe started riffing over it. And when I listened to it back, I was like, do you know what? You're fucking right. Put it in. It just worked. Mostly the songs is just me being fucking dictator. And it's like, this is a song. This is what it sounds like. But then, like, when you go into the studio, things change as well. Like, you go into the studio with the first producer that we worked with, Stephen Euster. He was absolutely phenomenal in terms of what he brings to the song and what he gets out. He almost it's like he gets into your head and knows what's into your head, and you start humming something. And you go, all right. And next thing you know, I'll start playing that, whatever he's humming on the guitar, or you'll throw in a backing melody, go, mm-hmm. You go, oh, fuck, yeah, that works. Yeah, so I think like in terms of the songs that we wrote, the structure for the letter didn't change, but the guitar on it did a little bit for when we went into the studio. So I still had to kind of, again, that's another song that I wrote on the acoustic guitar, and I translated onto piano, so it became piano, but I still wanted to keep that old acoustic guitar sound in the background. Stephen was like, no, lad, just strum single notes and it'll work. With the distortion, it'll work so much better. He was right, it did, like.
Yeah.
And then he actually put in a little riff himself then as well. He does that. He picked up a guitar and started playing some harmonics, and he put that into it as well. And that's like, oh fuck, that's really, really cool. That's really, really deadly. Right now I have to learn how to fucking play that. Thanks very much for that. But yeah, it's that. I like going into the studios for that reason, because when you're listening to it back through those big speakers and that, and you've got all this time because, the drums are just being done, or the bass has just been done, and you're just listening back to the click track or the ghost track, you start just writing riffs to go on top of riffs to go on top of riffs, and songs kind of take on kind of life of their own in the studio, which I like that.
Yeah, kind of just proves a song is never entirely finished as well, No,
it's not. I mean, both the letter and Black Spider, I think I wrote back in 2017, and I'm glad that I didn't record them back in 2017.
Yeah.
I recorded demos of them, and if you listen to the demos of them now and to what the finished product is, they're completely different almost,
Yeah, like night and day almost.
Yeah, well, the vocal melody in the letter never changed. It's the exact same. And the structure is the exact same, but it's an acoustic guitar. There's no piano in it. So that's completely changed. And the version that we put out with Steve, I absolutely love. I love that version. I'm so happy with it. Like.
Yeah, I gotcha. And I suppose we may talk about concerts. It's called Concerts That Made Us. So As a concert goer, what concerts do you think have made you?
Oh, there's a few of them actually. I think I suppose like as a young lad growing up, being big into grunge and stuff like that, the kind of grunge bands were good. There's a few things like I liked some of the things that kind of inspired me as well. Were not just going to like big concerts, but just seeing local bands playing kind of, Nirvana covers and Pearl Jam covers, which kind of would have inspired me to pick up the guitar and stuff. But the concerts that I remember as a kid or a teenager kid, some of the first ones I seen the Foo Fighters, the first time they ever played in Dublin. I was at that gig.
Oh man.
And that was absolutely phenomenal. The energy that they had. And I can still remember like fucking Dave Grohl and Pat Smear like doing humbles on the stage while playing the guitar. It was like, oh my God, this is like unbelievable. And it's like, yeah, I really, really want to this is what I really want to do. And then another gig, I suppose, seeing Therapy for the first time as well. I think Therapy is the band I've seen more times than any other band. But seeing them as well, the time they played just after Infernal Love had been released, and they came down and played that, and that was just absolutely phenomenal gig as well. Just like I just absolutely loved Andy Cairns. Like I just thought he was so fucking, the songs that he was writing at the time, the vocal, I just thought it was his attitude on stage. Just I just absolutely loved Therapy. So that gig where just after Infernal Love was released, that was a big one for me. Again, we were in a band in around teenage years. It was we entered into a battle of the bands in Monasterevin. There was a band after coming down from Kilkenny, and they were heavy metal. I'd never really been into heavy metal before. And I just seen these people just playing heavy metal. It was like, that was a game changer for me as well, in terms of like, oh, I think I actually like heavy metal now. I started looking for bands like Pantera and stuff like that, and Korn, and start getting into them. And that was kind of like would have been a big kind of influence on my writing then as well, in terms of what I wanted to do.
Jeez, man, you sound like just a big sponge.
Yeah, well, like I kind of like all sorts of music, but like heavy metal would probably be like my heavy metal rock is probably my preference. Probably more metal now than anything else.
And when it comes to your own gigs, then is there one that sticks out in your mind as maybe the best gig experience you've had?
Oh fuck. Let me see. I am so critical of our shows. I'm so critical of my own performance as well. I'm always analysing it. Geez, what ones were good? Oh, you have me stumped now. I can remember gigs from when I was younger playing there that were good. We played a couple of festivals there that were good old crack. Like we played Livestock there 2 years in a row. Livestock is just, it's, as festivals go, it's so just unique and chilled and laid back, and it's savage crack. I think probably the first year that we played Forest Fest was absolutely deadly, because it was probably one of the biggest crowds that we played to. There could have been maybe 500 or 600 people there, spread out in the tent. And the way we were treated as well, like they just looked after us like we were royalty. There was a VIP, kind of a backstage area, and there was free drinks and free crisps, and
oh man,
it was just like we felt like we were like proper rock stars,
I've made it.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like, yeah, it was just because it was when you're younger and you start picking up instruments and stuff like that, and you start dreaming of stuff like that. Like you want to play at festivals. And you want to play to big crowds. And I think that Forest Fest demo, the first year, that was probably the closest thing that I've got to experiencing that anyway. Playing to a big crowd.
With a gig like that, then how do you deal with the whole thing that it's not going to happen every week or every month? Because I'd imagine something like that is highly addictive. And then the next day you're kind of like, right, it's back to normal. That's not going to happen anytime soon again.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know what? It's hard to deal with that. As a musician, when you go and you play a gig, for me anyway, you want people to be there. You just want a crowd. And like, or to look like there's a crowd. So like some venues, their max capacity could be 40 people. So if you've got 40 people there, it looks like it's jammed. You got 6 or 7 people there, it looks empty. And the same like that Forest Fest, there probably maybe could be 500 people there, but because the tent was so big, it didn't look like that. Yeah, it's hard, but see, everyone seems to be in the kind of the same boat of like, it's hard to get people to come to your shows.
Yeah, true.
And it's hard to get people to kind of stay. Like even there last night, we played there in Fibbers. For the first 3 songs, I think there was 2 people looking at us because everyone's out having a cigarette,
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, but then 7 or 8 people come in and they start bopping their heads and head banging. You're like, all right, they like
Starts
us. to
multiply.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. And it's like the same when we played in John Lee's there in Tullamore. Because we're local enough, like we've been asking everyone. Fucking no one showed up to see us. But like the people that were there and people came in, must be maybe 30, 40 people there to see us. And the feedback that we got after was really, really good. So it's little things like that. They're kind of like, oh yeah, this is great. Like, these are strangers that we don't know and they like us. So, we must be doing something right.
It's even better. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, when you think of your gigs then, to flip it around, is there an experience you'd say was the worst and how did you overcome it?
Oh, yeah. There probably is. I think with us as well, like with every gig that we play, we always like record videos. And like I said, like to me, it's almost like I just analyze everything. It's like a fucking occupational hazard. It's like I just analyze everything. So I listen back and I listen back to everything and go, right, okay, X, Y, and Z needs to be fixed. And let's make sure that we don't do that again. I think in fairness, like with this kind of version of the band has only been together since April. It's Chloe's first ever band. So I think like in fairness, she's doing a phenomenal job. After stepping in after Bonnie left, which was a massive kind of blow. So it's a learning curve. And I think we are a decent band, but like my attitude to everything is always, you're only ever as good as your last performance.
It's a good way to look at it.
So you can't really ever rest, and I never rest, and I'm always trying to get that into the rest of the band as well. It's like you can never really rest. You have to go home. You have to practice by yourself. You have to know the songs. It's can't really take breaks. Like we don't get to practice as often as I like, because like everyone's got their own commitments and stuff like that. It's hard to get 4 people in the room once a week, never mind at least twice a week. But for me, like I'll sit at home and I'll analyze my own performance and I'll go, okay, Jack, you fucked up here, you fucked up there. You need to correct that. You need to practice and make sure you have a sort before the next gig. Like, so you always want to strike, because especially when it, like I say, going down and watching Pharmacia there last week and looking at the quality of the acts and how good they are, and you're like, if I'm going to be on a bill with any of these acts, like I don't want to come off and feel inferior, if you know what I mean, because they're so good. Like it's like every time I go see a new Irish band, I almost feel like a fucking fraud. Like,
Right.
It's like the quality that's out there is just, it's phenomenal.
You kind of strike me as a guy that overanalyzes it and is probably too hard on yourself. Like I feel like if your gig went perfect, you'd still be picking at yourself, and everyone else would be like, "No, man, that was actually fine. Like you blew him off the stage."
Yeah, no, I am, but I'm like that in every aspect of my life. I am not the sort of person that likes to give himself credit for anything really. This is probably something that I need to fucking change, but it's just yeah, it's just who I am. I think it's an inferiority complex, I think it's called.
Yeah, yeah. Although I think we all have a kind of a touch of that at times.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, but you think after like years of playing, like you'd have overcome it somewhat. I always say I always consider myself as I consider myself a good songwriter, an average musician.
Right.
That would be my take on it.
Not a bad thing. I feel like that's something that some really famous person has said about themselves as well.
Oh no, I'm plagiarizing someone great.
And when you think of the future, then, say 5 years' time, how would you like the band to evolve?
Oh, like I said, like my ambition is like world domination. Like that's kind of like I would love to be able to do tours, even in Britain. Do you know what I mean? If in 5 years' time we were able to go over to Britain, for maybe a 2 month or 3 month tour and make money off it,
Yeah.
I would love if, we were getting, regular streams, if you know what I mean. People were listening to your music, liking your music, that sort of thing. And kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just have this thing that I just want people to listen to my music. And if I could get, if you could build up a big enough fan base, I think I'd be happy with that. I don't necessarily care for all the the money or fancy houses or anything like that. I just want people to listen to my music.
A true musician, so.
Yeah, that's it. Like, we're always going to be broke, aren't we?
Although, you know what? I feel like Chris Martin, I feel like he sits in one of his 10 mansions and says, I just want people to listen to my music.
Yeah, maybe he does.
Yeah. And before we dive into the last couple of questions, then, future plans. I know you have the gig on the 1st of December in Fred Zeppelins. Anything else you want to tell us about or plug?
Yeah, actually, we're next Saturday, we're heading up to Derry. So this is going to be our first time heading up north. And we're supporting String Cup Puppets.
Oh, cool.
So that's in Brannigan's in Derry City next Saturday. And they're releasing their debut album now. I'm after getting a sneak peek at it. I was listening to it there today. Fucking brilliant.
Really?
It is. Oh, it's got such a 90s vibe to it. Like it's so Seattle grunge. It's and you can't kind of pinpoint over which one particular band it sounds like. It's just like you got all the bands that were in Seattle in the 90s, put them together and made one super band, and that's String Cup Puppets.
Right.
Yeah. They're definitely worth checking out. Your man, Mark, their lead singer, his voice is just absolutely phenomenal. It's like, yeah, I wish I could sing like that. So we've got that, and I think we've got another one in Fred's next year in February as well. And we're hoping to release a new single on the 14th of February next year, Black Spider.
Valentine's Day,
yes. It's my own version of a very twisted, dark love song, so I thought it'd be quite fitting.
I like it. And we'll dive into the last few. So these are a couple of random, odd music questions, but I'm looking forward to hearing your answers.
Okay.
So if you could see any performer from history in concert for one night only, who would it be?
Oh, can I have one or two?
I'll be nice. I'm feeling generous. You can have two.
Right. Kurt Cobain, Freddie Mercury.
I like it.
100%.
Yeah, that'd be some gig. And here's where the odd part comes in. So if you had to spend 24 hours locked inside a room with any musician from history, who would it be?
Oh, fuck.
I like that reaction.
Locked in a room?
Yeah.
Is it lit up? Is it dark? Like,
Yeah,
know,
like there's lights, there's even food if you're hungry. It's not like Saw, you know, you don't have to cut off any limbs.
Right, okay, right. So there's food and drink, so someone I could sit in and get drunk with. Fuck. Don't know. I feel like Bowie would probably be interested to sit in with him. Who else? I don't know. Who's a bit of crack? Who in the musician world is a bit of crack? Ed Sheeran.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of Ed Sheeran, right? It was music, but I just reckon it's a bit of crack.
Right. You know, I can safely say I think I'm like 170 episodes deep at this point, and that is the first time anyone has said they wanted to be locked in a room with Ed Sheeran.
Oh no.
It was bound to come up at some stage, I suppose, if you look at the law of averages.
No, I just reckon he'd be a bit of crack. I just reckon, like, he's a sort of lad you could sit there. I reckon he's the sort of lad you'd go on a fucking beer with and have a great fucking time.
Yeah, there's no airs and graces about him, like just a normal guy.
Yeah, just a normal guy. Yeah.
Good one. Good one. And the final one, so now this is near impossible to answer, but what song would appear on the soundtrack to your life?
Oh, show must go on.
Right. Right. What is it about that one that speaks to you?
I don't fucking know. I think it was just the kind of like just the kind of acceptance and the finality of it. Like, because I always pictured like Freddie wrote that like about the fact that he knew he was going to die. And I absolutely love that song. I just think I think that's one of the songs that I want playing at my funeral.
Right. Right. Has to be that one. So nice one. Listen, Jack, it's been a blast now. I've really enjoyed chatting with you over the last hour. Thanks a million.
Right, Sam, thanks very much for that. It was a pleasure being on. Thanks for having me.
I think I'm getting better, better at getting worse. So I wrote it all in a letter to save us both some hurt. And if I could stay, I try to change, swap my parts and regrew. And if I could change, even just for one day, oh, I tell you I need you. I tell you I need you. No, it don't make sense, but I'm so logical, my dear. And if you look past
guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. And if you're interested in signing up to Band Builder Academy, use the link in the show notes below and enter the code CONCERTS and you'll receive 10% off. So, until next time, keep rocking.
Hey, what are you guys still doing here? The show's over. It's over. You can go home. Go on. We'll see you next time. We'll be here.